my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. Sweet Jesus, beautiful King, no Father like you, no friend like you. Your love for me is everlasting. No one like you, no one like you.
All right, so you are welcome to the Seasoned Apologist Live, and I'm so glad we're so excited to be doing this particular episode and edition of the Seasoned Apologist Live, known as The Conversation. So if you're joining us for the very first time, you are welcome. And if you've been joining us for a while, of course, you're going to be enjoying this aspect of the Seasoned Apologist Live. Just as you have known, the conversation is that session of the Seasoned Apologist Live where we invite people who are not actually Christians. Probably they could be Muslims, they could be atheists, they could be, of other religion, all right, who do not believe in the Christian faith. We invite them to the program to share with us their view, okay, the reason why they're actually not Christians and, their view of the current state that they have at the moment, all right? So we just want to interact with them. We want to know the reason why they do not actually find the Christian faith interesting, the reason why they don't find it compelling. And I want to quickly say this. If you're joining us for the very first time, you might not really know this. So we accommodate people of different faith, okay, a different religion to express their view so we can also engage with them as well. So if you're joining us for the very first time and you're listening to somebody that is not a Christian and is expressing his view or our view, and you're feeling offended, then it means that you do not know what we're doing right here. So I just want to encourage you that you're listening to the people of other side, okay, people who are not Christians, listening to the reason why they're not Christian and learn how to actually engage them as well. All right, so I'm so excited for tonight's program, and it's a special one because it is the conversation. All right, it's not our regular, Seasoned Apologist Live where we bring up a topic, we look at it, and then we do all the exegesis explanation and all of that. This one is going to be the conversation where we're going to be bringing in, people who do not share our belief, our worldview, and also the faith that we hold there as well. So joining us tonight is an atheist. Actually, she's very, very popular, and she has a page on TikTok. She goes by the name the Afro Atheist. So I'm so glad to have Afro Atheist on the show today. Afro Atheist, how are you doing today? Oh, you're muted.
I am good, thank you very much. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So first off, before we even start at all, I want to appreciate you for actually allowing us to have you on the show. The reason why this is very important is because a couple of days ago, I got into some forum on TikTok where atheists were having conversations, and I was going to say one or two things, and believe you me, they had to take me out of the room, and eventually I was blocked. Okay, I
Oh,
even posted it on Facebook that it seems, yeah. And so I was saying that it seems as if atheists, I mean, all of them were aggressive. And one was even using the F word, okay, on me. And I'm like, can't we have a civil conversation? All right. So for you to come on the show today, to agree to come on the show, I mean, it's something that I cherish. I'm fascinated by that, and I'm not taking it for granted. So again, welcome to the show. Thank you very, very much. All right. So how's been your day
thank
today?
you. Before I say anything, let me apologize for how you were treated by those atheists. Because we need to foster good conversations. we need to foster healthy conversations. At the end of the day, what we do talk about, these are just ideas, beliefs, and we need to treat each other with respect and treat each other better. So I apologize on behalf of those atheists that you came across. And that's why I decided to come on your platform, because, um, even though I don't share the same beliefs as yourself, we can have very civil conversations. And, hopefully, this is something that we keep on doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much again for coming on. Quite appreciate you for that. Okay, so we already have about 8 minutes out of our time, so we need to actually get
It's
right
okay. Yeah.
into the reason why we're here. So,
Okay.
folks, I just want to say that yeah. So, folks, I just want to say this that we're going to be having the Afro artist share with us for 20 minutes. Okay. She's going to be sharing with us for 20 minutes the reason why, she's not a Christian, the reason why she want to be an artist, the reason why she does not find the Christian faith compelling. And in fact, if she's not going to be addressing any of these things that I've just mentioned, we just want to hear from her. All right. Being an atheist. Okay. We want to hear from her, why she's an atheist and all of that, and why she does not actually, find the Christian faith compelling. So after that, we're going to have you, the audience, and I'll be having some questions also based on what she has said, to ask her a couple of questions. And you, the audience, we also have the opportunity to interact with her as well. You'll be able to ask your questions. So please, I want to implore you, if you have any question for her based on what she said, please, you can put them in the comment section and we're going to highlight them. Make sure that she actually address those questions. Please make it civil. If you are found using unnecessary vile word, we might have to block you. Remember, I've never said this before on this show. I have never blocked anyone on this show, especially the Muslims. I know that the Muslims come on my show to abuse me and all of that. I've never told them I'm going to block them. Okay. But this one, if you come on here and you're abusing, you're using F words and all of that, you will be blocked. All right. The reason is because, just like I said, we want to have a civic conversation. All right. And this is something that we should promote. Okay. All
Absolutely.
right. So, again, after this, we're so glad having you on the show. And we're going to be giving you about 20 minutes right now to share with us the reason why you're not a Christian, why you don't find it compelling, the problems, the issues that you have with the Christian faith. So, the 20 minutes starts right about now.
Right. Okay. So it has been a journey. Coming away from Christianity. I was a Christian. I was born into the religion of Christianity, and everyone around me is still very religious. And so, you're expected to carry on that way. Um, I was, I would consider myself a middle-aged woman. I've got children, and it's it all started by just questions, asking questions. Um, my son was 9 years old when he came to me, and my son said, "Mom, I do not want to be a Christian anymore." When I asked him why not, he said he learned that Jesus was killed in such a barbaric manner. Jesus's death was, there was so much blood everywhere, and he could not he just could not deal with that, because number he doesn't like blood. And for him to be a Christian, he will have to identify with that death of an innocent man. He was 9 years old and could not comprehend it. My son is autistic. And so for him, there are some things that are, he doesn't understand nuance, does not understand metaphors, does not understand those sorts of things. It's black and white. Why, mom, why would an innocent man be dying for me? Why would an innocent man be on the cross because of me? Those kind of things. And so when he said that to me, I was taken aback because it came from nowhere. So I asked him, I said, does he like Christmas? He said, yes, he likes Christmas. I said to him that, look, if you want your Christmas presents, because he loves his Christmas presents, I said to him that if you have Christmas presents, if you want your Christmas presents, then you still have to identify as a Christian. So unfortunately, if you're not a Christian, there are no Christmas presents for you. That's what I said to him. The look on his face, it was the look of, Mom, I'm trying to tell you something here, and you are not listening to me. But in that moment, I was a Christian mother. I could not understand. In that moment, when I was having that conversation with my son, I imagined him in hell and me in heaven. How could that be? I couldn't have that. And so I came away from that conversation. The look on his face really bothered me. And it made me feel really guilty that my son was trying to tell me something very valid, but I was invalidating him. And so I started asking the question, did Jesus really have to die in such a horrible manner? Was that really necessary? Because now my autistic son is struggling to understand and to comprehend why an innocent man was killed in such a manner. And when I started asking, did Jesus really need to die? Well, no, he didn't. He didn't. Jesus did not need to die such a barbaric death on the cross. It was not necessary, considering that Jesus was God and Jesus' Father. He is the creator of the universe. Everything starts and stops with him. All God had to do was just a flick of the finger, and everybody would be forgiven. And so I had to go back and question a lot of things. One of the things that came up while I was questioning was the idea. Someone said to me, you do realize that Jesus was not white. I said, what do you mean? When I was growing up, we were shown images of Jesus. We had Jesus on the cross, white guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, And the person said, that's not what Jesus would have looked like. I said, don't you lie to me. He said, I'm telling you the truth. So at the time, I was in the Church of England. I was making my way to becoming a priest in the Church of England. I had finished 2 years of studies in the Church of England, and I was at the stage where you go and sit at panel to be accepted onto theology school. My path was set. I was making my way to becoming a priest, also known as a pastor in the Church of England. But something became apparent when we were doing the studies. We were learning about the history of Christianity. A lot of things did not make sense. And some of the things were that most of the authors of the Bible are unknown. Most of the authors have been ascribed, the books have been ascribed names. Some of them, there are there's confusion of who wrote what. A lot of assumptions were made. And that to me was a bit of an issue. How are you all teaching people stuff as truth when no one knows who these people are who authored these books? A typical example was the book of Revelations. When I found the information on in my studies, in what we're supposed to be studying to go and learn to become priests in the Church of England, to find that what's his name, John, the John who wrote the book of Revelations, is not the same one who wrote the book of the John the Apostle. That was my first shocker, because all along we were taught that it was the same person who wrote those two books. Now come to find out that the one who wrote the book of the Revelations was a different John, probably, and that he was John of Patmos. He was alone on the island when he received these visions, and these claims. And I started asking, who verified the claims of John of Patmos? If he was alone on an island, who verified the claims of John? Could it be that John lied to us? Could it be that John just pulled this story from thin air? How do we verify the claims of John? And so, if most of the authors of the Bible are unknown, then I'm sorry. Something is wrong somewhere. And so, to find out that Jesus wasn't white, when I close my eyes to pray, I see a white Jesus. When I close my eyes to pray, I see a white God, big and mighty on his throne. Everything is white. The angels are white. The Jesus and everything good is all white. Not because not for anything that I did purposely or intentionally. No, this is what we were taught growing up. We were shown images of Jesus. We were shown images of God, of what heaven would look like. Everything was white. So I went to the priest in the Church of England, because I was in a state. All this information coming at me, left, right, and center. So I went to the priest to go and have a conversation, hoping that he will help me make sense of my findings. I asked him, what did he think about Jesus? I learned that Jesus was not a white man. And so what does he think? And this man who I went to is a white man, the priest in my church at the time, white man. Honestly, when I sat in that room with him, I was expecting him to say to me what that person told me was wrong, that Jesus was in fact white. But this man looked me in my face and told me that Jesus was not white. He said to me that the church lied to the world, and the church should apologize for that lie. I said, what? What? No. Come again, sir. And he said to me that this white man, when he thinks of Jesus, he sees a black man with dreadlocks, with dreaded hair.
Yeah, you have 10 minutes more. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. He sees a black man with dreaded hair. What? How? So he said, well, as Christians, we shouldn't focus too much on his ethnicity or his race. As Christians, our duty is to focus on his message and what he came to do. That's what we as Christians should focus on, not his ethnicity. He said what he finds is that Christians tend to think of Jesus in whatever image they conjure up in their minds. So if a white person can think of Jesus as white, a black person might think of Jesus as black. He said, because really and truly, we don't know exactly what he would have, we don't have an image. We only have ideas. But his own idea of Jesus is a black man with dreadlocks. He told me he was going to show me some images of all the Jesuses, that they think how Jesus would have looked like, and but I at that point I was not even, I was just dumbfounded. And so he said to me, yeah, just go back and think of what Jesus came to do and his message. And so I went back and I started asking the questions, what did Jesus come to do? What was the whole idea of Jesus, the Son of God, leaving his daddy's home and coming down to earth to come and be with us here? What was that about? And so to find out that Jesus came to be a sacrifice. Jesus was the ultimate scapegoat. Jesus came to sacrifice himself to his daddy. So Jesus is also God. So we could say that Jesus came to sacrifice himself to himself. For what reason exactly? Because two people ate a fruit in the garden that Jesus's daddy planted there to begin with. And all of this could have been solved if God had just forgiven his own enemy, Satan. If God had forgiven Satan, then everything that, according to Christianity, would never have happened. Satan would not have needed to be thrown down from heaven. And when God decided to create Adam and Eve, there wouldn't have been any need for Satan to now deceive God's own children. And I started asking the question, what kind of father? I'm a mother of 2 children. And for me, I take my role as a mother very seriously. As a parent, I take that very seriously. If I know that anything will bring harm to my children, I would do any and everything to get it out of the way. But here I am reading a story of a father who sets up his own children. He decides to put them in the garden where he threw his own enemy down to earth, and now places his own children in the same place where his own enemy resides, and then plants the tree that could destroy them. And after he was done planting the tree, he gave them instructions. Now, these 2 people, Adam and Eve, they had no knowledge of good and evil. They had no clue what they were doing. All they did was eat a piece of the fruit. That's all they did. And then they were punished. They were punished, and that was not enough. God decides that I would do some more punishment. I will punish every human being that comes after these 2 people. You punish people for something that they haven't done. After punishing them, God didn't stop there. God decides, let me do more. Let me go and create a place of, how many minutes?
5 minutes more. 5 minutes more. Yeah, go ahead, please.
God now decides, let me do more. Let me go and create a place of eternal torture, eternal punishment, eternal damnation. Because God is not satisfied with the punishment he gave Adam and Eve. He punishes every human. And so now every child, every baby, as a baby is born, that baby is born in sin because of something they haven't done. All because 2 people ate a fruit. And so if you don't accept Jesus's death on the cross, you are doomed, and you are on your way to the place that God prepared for you. How can the person who is on the one hand telling you, come, I will save you, be the same one who is condemning you on the other hand? That's not how it works. How is Jesus coming to save us from what him and his daddy are going to do to us? And so I could not then continue to identify as a Christian. It all fell apart for me. This is just a nutshell of things. There were other things as well. Questions. And the more questions I asked, it just didn't make any sense. And also the idea that a God will punish people. How do you have infinite punishment for finite crimes? We as humans, we are better. We have better morals. We have a better judicial system. When someone commits an offense, we would look at what offense they've committed. We will give them punishment to in accordance to whatever crime they've committed. We could also look at mitigating circumstances. We would look at all the events that happened when they committed the crime to see if we could give a little leeway, if we could, all these people did was eat a fruit. That's all they did. Why God decides to hide good and evil inside a tree? I'm sorry. I could not continue to worship that God or to be a Christian anymore. I could not identify with the death of an innocent man on the cross. Not for me. And so I walked away. And I've since discovered that there are a lot of things in Christianity that don't make sense. So now I engage in conversations just talking about the things that don't make sense in Christianity.
All right. Thank you very much for. You still have about 1 minute, 41 seconds left, but I
I'm
think
done. I'm
you're
done.
right
I'm
on
done.
time.
I'm done. It's okay.
Okay, great. Great. All right. Okay, so I just want to say first off, thank you for letting us know the reason why you do not find the Christian faith compelling any longer. Some of the issues that you have with it, of course, you have many more, but you have just shared with us some that you actually have. So we are so grateful for that. So what I'm going to be saying at this point in time is that for those who are in the audience. So while you were talking, I was taking note of some certain things, and I'm going to ask you a question, based on some of the things that you've said. And I just want to let the people in the audience know that they could actually ask questions as well. I can see some interaction going on in the comment section. So please, I just want to employ us, please be specific, please. Do not allow yourself to be blown away by emotion, and then you begin to use, you begin to use, foul languages and all that. Let's just be matured in our conversation. All right. So if you have any question, please, this is what you're going to do. You type the word question in capital letter. This is how we can distinguish between the questions you're asking and also the random conversation and comment that is going on right there. So you type in the word question in capital letter and then let it be followed by your question. You can make this brief because if it is becoming a thesis, our platform will cut it off and they will not be able to make a sense of the question that you're asking. All right. Okay. So while waiting for those questions to come up, so let me actually just take up one of the things that you said. I want to ask you a question based on that. You said that you were told, so this is the very first one. You were actually told that the John who actually wrote the book of Revelation is not the same John that wrote the gospel, especially the Gospel of John, the first, second, and third, John. And yeah, so those two, yeah, the gospel and also the epistles of John. So that's what you were told. I just wanted to ask, did you actually find out or ask for an evidence for that particular claim that was made by this particular priest or teacher or the person that you were engaging? Did you find out? Did you also have solid evidence that this is actually true?
Well, when I look at the claims of John, a lot of things don't add up to me. So what I tend to do now is go and look at the story itself, go and look at the claim itself, right? I look at the whole story according to John, who wrote the book of what you call it, Revelations. Well, it turns
Yeah, the book
out,
of Revelation.
yes, it turns out that this was a message given to John for the people in that period. Whoever this John was, that message only applied to those people who he was talking to in that time. And if John is receiving messages, now you must understand that some of the claims that he was receiving was out there, right? He was receiving all these visions about beasts with 7 heads and all these, very strange things. And they say that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right?
Hmm.
And so
Okay.
how can I take the words of somebody who has gone on, he was alone on the island, alone. What methods were applied to his claim? What method was
Mm,
applied to the claims of John? Because let me tell you, you don't just take the claims of anybody as gospel. You have to do some digging. Well, it turns out that nobody did any verification. How do you know it was God that was giving John these visions, and he wasn't smoking something, or he wasn't drunk out of his head? How do you know that? Until someone can show me how you verified that the claims of John were truly from God, I'm sorry, discard it.
okay. So we're going to get to that part of what John is saying and how that can be verified, especially when it's coming from God. But I don't think the question has been addressed yet. How do you know that the John who wrote the Gospel of John is not the same person that wrote the book of Revelation? You've just told us the content of the book of Revelations that you don't find appealing, and I can understand why. Because you don't believe in God. So these are spiritual things. I mean, they are nonsense to you. Okay, that's quite understandable. But then, how do you know that it wasn't the same person who wrote the book of Revelation? Okay, since it's the one that wrote the gospel. So that was what I was actually looking at. Yeah.
Okay. So what difference would it make if I know who wrote it? What difference would it
No, the
make?
reason why I was asking Yeah, the reason why I was asking is because you mentioned that these were one of the things that were troubling you. Like, I mean, it wasn't even the one that wrote the Gospel of John, so that was troubling to you. These are some of the things that causes you a bit of distress, doubt, and all of that. So that's why I was asking that. Okay, so since it was causing a bit of a doubt, how do you know that it's not the same person? So that's why I was asking that question.
You know something? Even if I do know who exactly, even if I do know whether it was John, the apostle, or John of Patmos, right? Even if I do
Mhm.
know, there's still no way to prove that John was truly hearing from God. It was a vision given to him from God. There's no way
Okay.
to know
All right.
that.
Okay, all right. So now you can actually establish the fact that it wasn't John. By the way, it wasn't John of Patmos. He actually wrote that when he was on the island of Patmos. Because I think I heard you say that this John is actually from Patmos. That's the John of Patmos, and then we have the John, that is writing the gospel and all of that. So
Let
at
me
least
let
I
me
just wanted
let
to
me
know.
let me ask you
Yeah,
which John wrote
okay.
it? Because you're a Christian apologist. So what
Yes,
John wrote the book of Revelations?
it was actually the same John that wrote the gospel. And we can see
Which
the
which one?
sequence
Which
between.
one? Which one of them?
Now, when you mean which one, what are you talking about?
There are two different Johns in question. The
That's
consensus.
true.
So there is even the scholars, right? They
Mhm.
themselves disagree on what John it is. Some are of the opinion that it was John the apostle, some are of the opinion that it was John of Patmos, right? So
Okay. No,
what do you
actually,
think?
okay, thank you very much. Now, I know that on issues like this, of course, scholars will discuss, they will critique, and in fact, this actually goes back to talk about what you were referring to when you were talking about John. Who had critiqued this? Who had actually talked about this? Who had looked into this? And I'm so glad that you're talking about scholars right now. Okay, so you're talking about scholars who are disagreeing, meaning that
Mm, mm.
some people had actually looked into this. All right, so nobody is taking it hook, line, and sinker. People are looking into this, they are critiquing it. And I can tell you with all boldness and confidence that the Bible had been critiqued over the years, okay, by scholars. And I know you are aware of that. The
Yeah,
Bible
yeah.
have been critiqued by scholars, so nobody's taking anything for granted, and that is the reason why we're still going to get to that part also. I'm still going to look at the questions right there. So, but then I can tell you with all confidence that the John that actually wrote the Gospel of John, first and second and third John, is the same person that wrote the book of Revelation. Why? Because we can see the sequences, we can see the claim. all right, of the John that wrote the gospel, the one that wrote the first and second, and also the one that wrote the one of Revelations. Now, I know that the problem that you might have, okay,
Wait,
is that
hold on.
the book of
I'm sorry.
Revelation contains
I'm
things
sorry.
that,
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Did you say it was the same
yeah,
John that wrote the book of the Gospel according to John? John
yes,
1, 2, 3, and also the
yeah, he wrote
revelations
the
of
gospel
John
according to, exactly, yeah, he was the one.
that wrote all of them.
Yeah, he
So
was the one that
every
wrote the Gospel of John.
every
He was the
book.
one that wrote the Gospel of John, the Epistle of John, the 1, 2, 3, and also the book of Revelation. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. I've got to do something very quickly. So
Okay.
I've got my give me 1 second. Let me do something very quickly. Revelations of John.
Okay. So
Okay,
at
so
the point in time, sometimes it
just a
seems
quick
I can hear you clearly now.
sorry, just a quick just a little information that I have here about the revelations of John.
Okay.
It says that
Sorry,
so the
sorry. What
revelation
source
of
are you reading
John
from? What
so
source
I've
are you
got a
reading
this is a Bible actually. It's a Bible.
Sorry, what Bible is that? Like the name of the Bible?
It's the Good News Bible.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Any should I continue?
No, no, I just wanted to know the translation. No, nothing. I
And
just wanted to know the source.
this is even beautiful because this one has all the missing books.
No, they
So
are not
this
missing.
one,
I know you're talking
this
about the
is
apocryphal book.
yes, this has
They are
got
not
the
missing.
apocryphas.
Yeah, they are not missing. If they are missing, you wouldn't have it there.
So where are they then? Why are they not in the why are they not in the Protestant Bible? Where have they gone?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, these books, the apocryphal books, are actually good books, okay? They are not actually for lecturing in the church or for inspiration and all that, but they're actually good for historical sources, historical information. So, for instance, we have within that particular book, this apocryphal book, we have the book of First and Second Maccabees. Now, the beautiful
Hmm.
thing about the First and Second Maccabees is that it gives you the historical background, of the Jews even before the coming of Christ. Now, in the Old Testament, we have the last book of the Old Testament, and then we have the first book of the New Testament, which is actually Matthew. Now, for a Bible reader, it will just take a look at the Old Testament book and then flip to Matthew. But he does not know that there is actually 400 years gap between the last book of the Old Testament and the one of the New Testament. And the difference between them is actually what scholars call the 400 years of silence, and some actually call it the intertestamental period. That is the period between the two testaments. Okay. So between this particular period, we have historical information of what happened to the Jews at that point in time. So this particular book gives us historical, information, which is actually good for us. Things that happened before Jesus Christ came physically on earth. But this book is not actually a book that you call an inspired book that should be in the canon. Even the Jews actually do not recognize this book as to be in the canon. They know they are good for historical sources and information, but not to be in the canon. All right. So that's the reason why they are not there. And like I
So
said, if they are missing, you wouldn't have it in your hands today.
would you admit that some people consider these books heresy?
Now, when you say heresy, what do you mean by heresy?
That some
Because
people regard these books as heretical books.
now, when you say heretical books, yes, some of them actually contains information that is not in line with. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they are not even there in the very first place. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, that's one of the
So
reasons why
they're
they're not
not
there.
there
But
because they don't fit the narrative.
no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for the most part, these books are historical books. Now, some of them are not even written by the people that claim to have written them. So the Jews actually knows the books that were inspired by God to the prophet or to their prophet. All right. So now, like somebody can just wake up today, like we have the Gospel of Thomas. Okay. Somebody actually wrote the Gospel of Thomas, put the name of one of the apostles so that that book can be credible. All right.
Right?
And we have a lot of books like that. we're just talking about the ones in the Old Testament right now. We also have the ones in the New Testament as well, that were written by people, and then they just put a name on it and then say, hey, these books are actually from the apostles, even though they are not there. Yeah.
Okay, so just a quick information about John, the Revelations of John. It says that the book of Revelations was written sometime around 96 CE in Asia Minor. The author was probably a Christian from Ephesus known as John the Elder. According to the book, this John was on the island of Patmos, not far from the coast of Asia Minor, because of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus. Some scholars, however, have suggested that it might have been, his trip, right, might have been a regular stop on a preaching circuit. Right, let's see. I wanted to find the information that tells us the disagreement about what John it is. Give me 1 second to find this. It's quite a huge.
No problem.
Right.
No
okay. So, here we go.
No
I found it.
Scholars disagree on some issues too. Yeah.
So it says most Christian scholars believe that John of Patmos was also John the Apostle who traveled with Jesus during his ministry. But decades later, as a much older man, John of Patmos took heat from the Roman. Sorry, 1 second. I've lost my.
Oh, sorry about that.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there is a bit of divide about who
Disagrees
this
among
John.
scholars?
Yes. And also,
No,
I think
definitely.
where was heading?
I'm not actually ruling out.
Where I was heading when I started this. Where I was heading when I started this is that this revelation was written at a time when Christians were being persecuted because of their faith in Jesus Christ, and that the writer's main concern is to give the readers hope and encouragement and to urge them to remain faithful during the times of suffering and persecution, right? And for the most part, the book consists of several series of revelations and visions presented in symbolic language that would have been understood by Christians of that day. But would have remained a mystery to all others. This was supposed to be a mystery to all others. Only the Christians of that day, this was written to, right? So, how on earth have we got the whole, what's it called now? The whole, what do you call the doctrines of
the whole wide
end
world,
of
the
world,
Christians now.
the end of the world doctrines? What do you call those? Apocalyptic.
Okay, so I get the point.
Have you got all of
I
that
get the
from
point you're trying to make. I get the point you're trying to make. Can I say something about that?
Please do.
Okay, so indeed, yes, John was actually writing, and based on what you have said, I don't think there is actually an issue from what you've said so far. So John was writing
there
to
is.
the Christians.
There is a huge issue. Ooh. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's a huge issue.
In fact, what you have just... Okay, so you're breaking right now. Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. But at a point in time, you're breaking, so I couldn't hear what you're saying clearly. Okay,
I'm sorry.
What you just read out, the last thing you've just read out right now, and the point you're trying to draw out of that is that, well, this was actually written to the Christians of that time, okay, not for the Christians today. Now, that is not actually what that point is saying, or the last, part that you have just read is saying. What he's saying is that John was actually writing in a language that the Christians of that particular day could understand. Why? Because persecution was going on, just as you rightly said. Persecution was going on, and he was writing in language such that the Christians, when they read it, we understand. But every other person who is not a Christian, because they are under the Roman persecution at this point in time, they're going through a lot of suffering. Okay. Now, so every other person that will read this would not understand what is being read because they are not Christian. Let me give you an example. So it's just like me. No, no, no. It's because they are not Christian. They are not Christian. And he did that on purpose because he actually wants to pass a specific message to the Christians. I
But
am a
this was not
Christian today.
written to Christians, though. This was not written to Christians. These people were Jews.
Okay, so
They weren't
who was
Christians.
it written to?
These people were Jews.
Who was it
They were
written
not
to?
Christians. They were Jews.
Oh,
They were
no.
Jews.
Are you aware that John is a Jew and is a Christian?
Well,
Are
maybe
you aware
later
that
on
John is
became
a Jew and a Christian?
maybe later on became a Christian, but he was a Jew. Jesus, Jesus was a
Yeah.
Jew.
The
Jesus was
disciples of
born a
Jesus.
Jew. Jesus lived as a Jew. Jesus died as a Jew.
The disciples of Jesus Christ, some of them were actually Jews. And they were Christian, they were followers of Jesus Christ. Okay, so when John was writing, of course, he was writing to those who are Christian. Okay, people who had actually committed to the Lord Jesus. And just like he said, these are written in symbolic languages. Why? Because he does not want those who are outside of the Christian faith to decrypt what he was writing. And I, as a Christian today, I can still flow with what John has actually written. All right. But then we have just about maybe 12 minutes more. I want to get to something. I'm
Okay.
seeing if I could pick up a question right here from the audience, but I want to get to something. You're talking about the Bible being, I mean, the authors of the Bible being unknown. All right.
Yes.
You said that most of the authors of the Bible are actually unknown.
Mhm.
So can you actually give a practical example? So let me just start with this. I know that yes, there are a couple of books in the Bible that yes, we might not really be able to tell this is the person that wrote it, but I want to have in mind an example of the ones that you are talking about. Can you give me just an example of a book that you feel that, I mean, the authors are actually unknown?
The first five books of the Bible, the claim is that Moses wrote those books. Moses could not have
Okay,
written those books because how is
why? Why
Moses
do you think?
telling about how is Moses telling us about his death and burial?
Oh,
How
great,
how, how
great,
is
great.
Moses able to tell us about his death and his burial? How?
So,
What did he
what if
write it?
Joshua was
Did
the one
he
that wrote that?
then
What if Joshua was the one that wrote that?
if Joshua wrote it, then you cannot claim that Moses was the one who wrote it.
Seriously,
You would have to
seriously.
say
Let's,
that it in fact, guess what? There's hardly
yeah.
any evidence that a person called Moses existed. There's hardly any evidence
Seriously,
of that
I know
guy.
that
Yes.
that's a discussion for, yeah. I know that that's a discussion for another time because I know the time will not permit. But let's take a look at the claim you have just made right now. All right. So
Yes.
let's say, and it's happening in our world today. I'm so thankful for this because we're looking at what is happening in our world today. So let's say that somebody actually wrote a book. All right. Somebody wrote a book and then he died before he finished writing the book. And then somebody now wrote the final part of the book. Now, when I say the final part, the person just wrote something like the epilogue of the book. Okay, the epilogue of the book. That's just the last part of the book. So the main book itself is already there. When such a book is published, who would you say had actually written that book?
You are making a claim that you have no
No,
evidence
no,
for.
no. No, I'm talking about something that is happening in our real life right now. Okay, like
And
if I wrote a book.
I'm saying that you cannot make that claim that Moses wrote nearly everything and Joshua just came along at the end and wrote the epilogue. No.
Why
If there is
can't
no
I make the
evidence,
claim? Because
it, you've got to
oh,
provide me sources and evidence. If there is no evidence for the guy called Moses, then you can't make that claim.
okay. So the
There
thing is
was
this:
I hope I hope you know
you're
I
using
hope you
this
know
claim.
that I hope you know that there's hardly any evidence for the Israelites being enslaved in
Oh,
Egypt. I hope you know that there's no evidence for them leaving Egypt and coming away from Egypt and, making their way in the desert for 40 years. I hope you know there's no evidence for any of these things.
So if you are saying that there is no evidence for it, have
There's
you searched into
hardly
this?
there's
And
hardly
if there
any
is no
evidence.
evidence for this,
There's hardly any
okay,
evidence.
so if there is no evidence, okay, good. If there's no evidence for this, why do we have excavations done by archaeologists today that is pointing to some of these things that you're talking about? I mean, if these things does not exist, all right? So we're talking about they are not existing right now. Okay, so why do we have archaeological evidence that is pointing to some of these things that say, hey, take a look at this. This is a glimpse to say that, oh, this is actually what the Bible is saying, and we're having an evidence right here. Okay,
Okay.
why do we have such? Then,
Okay,
secondly,
you
okay,
know
please
what?
go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am going to ask you this question. Did you know that Moses was a murderer?
Okay, so I think I'm
According to the
losing you right now.
Oh, sorry, I
Okay,
don't
yes,
know
I can hear
why.
you now. I can hear you. I can hear you right now.
According to the Bible, Moses, did you know that Moses was a murderer?
Murderer, how? In what sense? I need to understand the sense you are coming from. Of course, Moses actually killed somebody, okay,
Mhm.
before he ran away from Pharaoh. But in what sense are you? Is that the sense you're referring to?
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. So
Oh,
Moses ran
definitely, he
away
killed
from
somebody.
his crime.
About it.
Yes? So Moses ran away
Yeah,
from his
definitely, he
crime.
ran away.
Did he
Yes,
pay for his crime?
pay for his crime in what
Yes.
way? Like
In
like
taking
was
that
he killed
life,
in return?
that life that he took, did he pay for that
Like was he killed?
offense?
No, he was not killed, and that's why he ran away. Because if he had not run away,
So
probably would have been killed.
so you're telling me that this man who is who has got blood on his hands, this guilty
Hmm.
person who is
Hmm.
on the run,
Hmm.
now claims that he encountered God and God gave
Okay,
him these 10 commandments. And part of the commandment says, Thou shalt not kill. Is that what you're
hmm.
telling me?
Yeah, I can actually say that, and I can give a real life scenario. Can I give a real life scenario?
Wait, you're saying that God chose a murderer?
Yes, in fact, exactly. God actually chose him, not because of what he has done, but because
Hmm.
God actually wanted to use him, okay, to fulfill a particular purpose, to liberate God's people. Now, God does not condone what he has done, okay?
How do
And
you
in
know that?
fact,
How do you know that God
of
did not
course,
condone
of course,
what he has done?
God was not the
There's
one that
no,
told him.
there's no, yeah, but there's
No, no,
nowhere.
okay.
Okay, show me where God admonished him for what he had done.
No, no, what I would have asked from you is that can you show me where God says, Moses, I want you to go and kill this Egyptian that you killed? Did God instruct him?
I want to see where God admonished him for that crime that he committed
No,
before
what I'm asking
choosing
is this.
before choosing him to give his commandments and to free the people from Egypt.
In
Otherwise,
fact, do you know that it's a
otherwise,
punishment? Yeah,
otherwise,
I'm responding to your question
otherwise.
right now.
Okay, go on.
I'm
Sorry.
responding to your question right now. Do you know that it's a punishment for Moses himself to have been sent back to a place where he had killed people? Is it not a punishment? I mean, God
But
could have looked at somebody who did not even commit a crime and get the person to go and do the job. But God saw Moses. He know he's been the one doing this. In fact, he's the one that has done it. And he chose him and said, hey, Moses, you are the one that was there before. You killed somebody. I want you to go back. Now, isn't that a punishment in and of itself? Is it
oh
not a risk for him to go back,
no, it
knowing fully
wasn't.
well that he could be killed? That's
No,
number
it
one.
wasn't.
Then number two, let me just explain this. Number two,
All right,
do
go on.
you know that God is interested? God is interested in people that we humans generally would have called an outcast, okay? The one you would have actually called, the vilest of all humans. And that's actually what happened to Paul. Saul was actually going about killing people, all right? He was killing the Christians, arresting them, okay? And God was very much interested in this same Saul and used this same Saul to proclaim the message that he was actually against before. Now, what greatest punishment would you have apart from that? That what you have been
Okay.
going against, the places that you have done wrong, is the place that God is now sending you to so that you can make some certain things right. How about that?
Okay. So when you say that
Now, let me now give you
Moses,
a real life scenario.
okay,
Okay, okay, because of time, please go ahead. We just
okay,
have about
when
5 minutes right now. Just go
when
ahead,
you
please.
when you say that Moses was risking everything to go back to, no, Moses had he had a backup plan. Moses had it was a fail proof plan. Now Moses is going back to the people who were looking to take his life, and now he's telling the people, I have encountered God, and God has given me instructions. And part of the instruction says, thou must not kill. That means thou must
No,
not
he
kill me.
didn't tell the Egyptian that.
I am
No, he
innocent. No,
wasn't telling the
I am not
Egyptian that.
innocent. I am not innocent. I
Afro,
have blood on my hands. But my God,
okay.
who I spoke to in the burning bush while I was on the run,
Hmm.
my God says, you cannot kill me. Can you not see
But
the
do you know
corn?
that? Okay,
Can you not
are you
see the
aware,
star?
Afro, are you not aware that Moses never went to the Egyptian to tell them that thou shalt not kill? Are you aware of that?
You were the one that
It
said he
wasn't
was
to the
risking.
Egyptian.
You said he was risking to go back there. You said that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, he went back there, but not to tell them thou shalt not kill. I don't know where you're getting this from. I mean, can you show me an evidence from the Bible that Moses went to the Egyptian and because he
No,
does
I
not want
didn't
to be
say that.
killed, it was
I
making up
didn't say
a plan?
that. I didn't say that. You said that he
But
was risking everything to go back to where he
to
was
Egypt,
going to be
Egypt,
killed. Yeah,
how
you
was
said that.
Egypt
I
then?
didn't say that.
Yeah, I said that, yes.
If,
And you now said that Moses was
so
now
if
going
he had
back to
gone
these
back,
people
if he had gone back,
to tell them, yeah.
if he had
You
gone
said he
back,
had gone back to tell them. Okay, sorry.
if
It
he had
seems we are
gone back.
speaking on the same. Let me allow you to talk before I. It seems we
No,
are
I'm
talking on the
saying,
same frequency.
so I was responding to your assertion about him going
Yeah,
back to where he
mhm,
was risking everything. So if he had
exactly.
gone back,
How was it?
right, if
Mhm,
he had gone back, now he
mhm.
knows that nobody can touch him, because now he has got this commandments on stone that says thou shalt not kill.
No, he has not been given that
Very
commandment
clever.
at that point. Has he been given that commandment at
Yes,
that point in time? He
yes.
has not
It
been
was
given.
when he was on the run. When he was on the run, he claimed that him and God started speaking to each other in the burning bush. You see how clever.
Afro,
You see how clever
I think
Moses
you are getting
was?
some certain things. No, you are getting some certain things mixed up.
Am
What you're
I?
saying is that when Moses was on the run, he got the commandment that thou shalt not kill, and then he now went back to the Egyptians
I
and
didn't
showed
say
them the commandment.
I didn't say
Okay,
he
so
went back. I'm saying if
okay,
he
so
you were the one that you were the one that said he was risking everything to go back there. Okay, and I'm saying, okay, I take back my
exactly,
word. And I'm saying if he had gone back to Egypt,
exactly, yeah.
it would not have been a risk to him, because now he
Why?
has the commandment on stones that says you must not kill me, even though I'm
No,
guilty, even though I
no, the
have blood on my hands, you can't touch
no,
me.
no, the commandment was not given yet. That's what you should realize, Afro. He does not even have that command at that point in time. The commandment was
Have
not
you
given
read
at
it?
that point in time.
Have you read it?
I'm telling you the story that I know. He was not given the commandment at that point
when
in
was the commandment given to him then?
Thank you. The commandment was given after the children of Israel had gone out of Egypt. When they had gone out of Egypt, that was when the commandment was given. Now, you can check this out. I know that you know the story. Probably you just maybe you didn't remember at this point in time, and that happened to me sometimes. Biblical stories, there are a lot of them, so we might misplace them. Okay, so that was not when he received the commandment. So you can see
Okay.
that
I
the
I I
offense.
will I will I would I will concede to that. I will concede. So
So you can so you can see,
when did he receive the story of creation? Because don't forget, he was not
yeah,
present at the point of creation.
definitely,
He was not present.
definitely,
No one was present at the
definitely,
point of creation.
exactly.
So if
Mhm,
nobody was present at the point of creation, how did
mhm.
Moses know about these events?
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, this is one of the differences between myself, who is a Christian, and yourself, who is an atheist. All right. I believe in God. Okay. I believe in the supernatural. You don't believe in God. You don't believe in the supernatural. So God revealed to Moses what had even happened years before he was actually born, and I believe that. Okay,
Can you
that
show me
God
a Bible
revealed to Moses.
verse? Can you show me a Bible
Can I show
verse
you
that
what?
says a Bible verse that talks about
Okay.
God revealing these things to him?
Okay, a Bible verse that talks about God saying to Moses, like talking to Moses, and he was writing
That
stuff down.
this is how I created Adam and Eve, and this is what I
No, that's
did,
how
and
we
this
have.
is what I did.
We have Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1 talk about, I mean, from Genesis 1 down to the book of Exodus and Deuteronomy and all of that is actually the creation story. And this is the story that God had given to Moses. Now, what I wanted to show you initially was
How
that
how
if
how
you're
do you know
asking
that?
me,
How do you know that God gave it to Moses? I I want
well,
a
because
Bible passage that
yeah.
says God gave this to Moses. God told Moses about Adam and Eve.
Okay, great. So this is what I'm going to do. It's not going to be the exact word that you wanted it, but what you are asking is that did God ever talk to Moses? Okay,
No,
because
no,
if
no, no.
God ever
That's not
talked to
that's not
Moses,
my question. That's not my question. My question is that so here we have Moses describing the events at the beginning. There was nobody there to
yes,
witness these events, right?
yeah,
And
that, yeah,
we have
yeah,
been
and
told
God
that
was there. He was the one that
we are
created
we are
everything.
sinners because of these events
Yeah.
that happened in the beginning. So Moses
Hmm.
is telling us about the story of Adam and Eve. So where
Hmm.
did Moses get this story from? Because if you cannot provide me a source where Moses got the story from, then unfortunately Moses is lying to us.
No, you can actually say that. Why? Because
I
God
can.
has revealed so many things to Moses. No, you can't.
What
Do you?
what
Okay,
proof?
let
What
me let
proof?
me
What
flip
proof do you
this.
have?
I'm going to
What
show
proof
you
do you
this.
have that
Now,
Moses? What proof do you have that God said anything to Moses?
oh yes, I'm actually showing you from the scriptures. Okay, the
No, no,
scriptures
no, no,
actually
no,
says
no.
it. So
You
that's
can't
the
use the
proof.
scriptures.
What I'm
The scriptures is a book of
No, this is
claims
my evidence.
and not the
No, this is my
evidence.
evidence.
Nah, no,
You
no.
will have to
We
give me your
cannot we
evidence.
cannot
I,
accept the Bible as evidence, unfortunately.
I know because you're an atheist, you don't accept the
No, it is
supernatural.
not
So I
because I'm an
understand that you don't.
no, it's not because I'm an atheist. The Bible makes claims, right? That need to be backed up. The Bible is a book of claims. And
Okay,
so
all right.
the
After
claims made by the Bible have to be
yeah.
backed up by evidence.
Okay, so after I taste, let's do this. Since you don't believe that this is an evidence for me as a taste, all right, that is taste. I believe in God. You as an atheist, can you tell me how we got into this hurt? I mean, how did this whole thing happen? How did we get here? Since you don't believe in this particular story,
I don't know.
what?
I do not know.
You do not know.
Oh,
But then
absolutely
there is a
not.
book. Okay, great. Okay, there's no problem about that.
I
So
don't know.
you are saying that you do not know. All right,
Absolutely
that's
not. I
good and
don't
fine.
know.
Okay,
Mhm.
now no problem. It's okay. I can understand that. You do not know, but then there is a book that is saying that this is how it all started. Yet you do not believe that book. Now, after a taste, how will it sound like if somebody is saying that 2 plus 2 is not 4? Yet, if you ask the person, what is 2 plus 2? It says it does not know. How do you respond to that?
You realize that the Bible is just one of many claims of how we got here. I hope you know that. There are
That's not, I mean,
many, there are many, countless
I'm not interested.
claims
I mean, you're
of
talking to a
creation.
Christian. I'm not
No,
interested in that. I'm a
but
Christian. I'm
your
actually
book,
interested
your
in this.
book, your book is one of many claims of creation.
Okay, so,
So
yeah,
how
okay, thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
coming back to the very point I was making. How is somebody who was not present at creation able to tell us, I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows?
Because,
We have hypotheses, we have all sorts of different theories for how we got here.
yeah,
But really and nobody knows. So what?
Well, the
Okay,
reason why we can
test?
know,
What test was applied? What method was applied to the claims of Moses to verify that his claim was accurate of how we
okay,
got
good.
here?
Now, good. Now, the reason why we know about somebody who was not there and was told about the event is because the one who was there when all of these things are happening was the one that told the one that was not there. All right. And the one that was there when all of these things were happening is God. You don't believe in God. So that
But
is my
how do you
response
know
because this
that?
Bible
How do
actually
you
tells us
know
how.
that? You have not proven anything. What you've done, you
Not
have
yet.
gone secular. You
After,
have gone secular.
after.
What you've done is my book says God told
No,
Moses, therefore it must be true.
no. I'm not doing secular reasoning right here. Do you know why?
That's
Do you know why I'm not
exactly
doing
what you have
secular
just
reasoning?
done.
No, no. Do you know why I'm not doing secular reasoning? I have a presupposition, and you do as well. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm explaining and I'm also showing to you my presupposition. Now, Afro atheist, right now as we're speaking, you have a presupposition. Your presupposition is that there is nothing spiritual existing. You don't believe that the spiritual world is real. You don't
No.
believe that God exists. You don't believe that God can actually talk to somebody. That is your presupposition. Okay. So you're speaking from that worldview. I am a Christian, okay? I believe that God actually created me. God made the world. I believe God exists. So I'm speaking from that presupposition. So I'm not making a secular argument. And I can give you an example of what I'm talking about. The question I want to ask, just to give you an example of that, is why do we have so much evil in the world today?
Why do we have evil in the world today? I To be
Yeah,
honest,
why
that's
do
a
we have so
question
much evil in the world?
that's a question I would need to process. That's a question I would need to process.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, no problem. I just want to say, Afro atheist,
Okay,
that we've
let
done about
wait, just
70.
very
Yeah.
quickly. So you tell
Okay.
me
Okay.
how do we have so much evil in the world then?
Thank you very much.
What
So
makes
we're
you
still going back.
what is your
Yeah. The reason why, I mean, for my evidence, right? I mean, why I think that there are a lot of evil in the world, right? Now, I can give you the basis of that from this scripture, okay?
okay,
And
go
it
on.
all
I would love
started
to
with
hear
a
it.
very, yeah, great. It all started with the first man that God created, Adam, all right? God created Adam, okay? Adam sinned against God, all right? Now, when
How
Adam
did he
sins
sin?
against God, he disobeyed. God told him not to eat a particular thing, and he did eat it, both himself and the wife. Both of them disobeyed, and because of that, generations of Adam, like the humans that came from Adam, because I actually believe I'm from Adam. Okay, yeah, I actually came forth from Adam. So everyone that came from Adam, because of the sin, okay, because of the sin of Adam, everyone that came forth actually experiences, okay, they had that sinful nature. Now, because of that sinful nature, that is the reason why you see people engaging in what is against the will of God, because sin is actually transgressing, going against the will of God. All right. And that is the reason why today, Afro atheists, you do not need to teach a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old how to do something evil, how to do something bad. You don't just need to teach them. Okay. Naturally, these things will just begin to come forth. Question is, where did they come from? Where are these processes? I mean, these actions, this thinking, where are they coming from? So, as a theist, person that believes in God, I can explain to you that the genesis of the evil that we have in the world actually started, okay, from somewhere. And I can explain where they are coming from. But I'm asking, can you tell me the genesis of evil? But you're just trying to process this. That's good and
Yeah,
fine.
I am
In fact,
trying
I'm
to
still very
process
much
it.
interested in
I
more.
mean, you
No, I get you say you're
so
trying to process it.
the claim that you're making now is that the reason why a 4-year-old would know about bad is because two people ate a fruit in a garden thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, is that the claim you're making?
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah.
Because two people ate a fruit in a garden that God planted himself. And Korede, that to you
Mhm.
makes sense. It makes sense to you that a 4 year
A,
old
a lot of sense.
who was not present in
A
that
lot of sense.
garden
I
is
mean,
somehow is
why don't
somehow
you
evil because of
refute
two
it
people eating a
after a
fruit.
taste? Okay, so after a taste, let me bring another scenario here. You have kids, two kids,
I
just like you
do.
have mentioned. All right,
And they're
good.
both they're both they're
Now,
both
I want to believe.
atheists.
No, no problem. I don't want to say. I actually want to say that. I mean, some years to come, they might encounter the Lord Jesus Christ. So, I mean, these are
I've
things
told
that
them.
happen. Okay,
I've told them if they want to be, if they choose to be a people of faith, I would support them. I don't mind. But the only condition that I gave was
beautiful. Hmm.
just make sure you do the homework. Make sure you know the origins of
Mm.
the religion. Make sure you know who is
Yeah.
saying what, where it began,
Hmm.
how did it come about, right?
Hmm.
Don't just take everything that
Yeah.
you are told. That's the only condition that I've said to
Hmm.
them. But if they choose to be people of faith,
Beautiful.
absolutely, I would support them all
Hmm.
the way. I love them irrespective of whatever beliefs they choose
Mm.
to have.
Wow. Wow. Well, this is beautiful after a taste. I mean, this is just beautiful. I want to say that I've not been able to engage a lot of artists. I've engaged a couple of them. Now, when I say engage, converse with them, but I don't think they are this calm the way you are calm right here. I mean, it's just wonderful. All right. So we've actually gone out of time. Okay. So this is
It's okay.
11 minutes.
It's
We've
okay.
done extra 11 minutes.
It's okay. Not
And I
to
want to tell you,
worry.
after this, I enjoy every part of this discussion. I really, really enjoy it. And I'm hoping that this will serve as a precedent to other atheists out there and the theists also, because I understand that there are some theists, people that actually believe in God, who are not very patient. I mean, they see the atheists and they want to just attack them left, right, and center. I believe that looking at this conversation, they can know that we can have civic, I mean, basic conversation, matured conversation without throwing words at one another. I mean, this is actually what we can have happen. And I'm so glad that, we have actually said that as an example right there. So again, I'm so grateful. And be rest assured, I'm still going to bring you back to the show again.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not next week, maybe not next
I
week.
tell you,
Yeah, but the rest
there
of
was there was a subject you brought up, and I'm hoping that would be the conversation. I would love to get into that
okay, what
conversation
is it?
about Paul. I am convinced that Paul was a con man. Paul was a con man. He
Mm,
got the Christians really good. One minute he was about to
wow.
kill the Christians and do all these things to Christians. And the next minute he told a bold faced lie to the Christians that he encountered Jesus that he never met before on the road to Damascus, lied and
Mm,
said, "Oh, I was blinded by Jesus." And the Christians bought his
okay.
story, hook, line, and sinker. And before you know it, the person who was trying to kill them was now the
Well, I actually
spokesperson
believe as a
for
Christian
a
that
religion.
he was
Ooh,
honest.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
I actually believe
Clever,
he's honest. So I
clever
think
Paul.
after this, when next I'm going to bring you on the show, maybe we'll just talk about Paul. All right. So you just
Yeah,
come
that would be
like this,
nice.
20 minutes, you talk about Paul, then we can interact. Yes. So that is a promise to the people that we're talking about. I mean, the people that are watching right now. So yes, I can see you, James Appenson. Yes. I'm going to be sending you an email, but please, James, I think I misplaced your email. And I know you're watching right now. James, please
Yes.
kindly send me a message. Send an email to info@seasonedapologist.com, James. Please kindly send an email to info@seasonedapologist.com. I'm going to be leaving that with Afro Atheist, so you can actually get an email from the email, my email. You can get it from. I'm so sorry
Yes,
about that. I
I will
don't know
make
why I
sure he
misplaced
gets
your
it.
email, but please. Great, great, great. So for everyone right here, I really, really appreciate you guys. I know that there are a bit of some hard comments in the session, but we can see a lot of good comment right here. They are very much encouraged with this sort of conversation. And I tell you, brethren, we are going to be having a lot of conversation like this. All right, especially with our atheists. Do I call them brother right now? Would you call me a brother, Afro atheist?
I will call you a brother. Absolutely, Corridor. You've been a
Okay,
lovely
great,
person. And thank you very much for
great.
being.
Thank you.
I've met some very horrible Christians, but I want to thank you for
Mm,
being very decent and very welcoming to me. And I also want to say if
thank
people
you.
want to know where to find me, I'm on TikTok and I am on YouTube. My name is the Afro Atheist, just as you see it there. Just look for me. And I tend to go live on TikTok and YouTube nearly enough every day. So you come and look for me there. And we might talk about this conversation today later on. So yeah, join me.
Good, good. All right. Again, after a taste, I want to thank you. I want to appreciate you for finding time to come on the show. I also want to appreciate everyone who's been here, following the program right from different places. I believe that you find it helpful, the conversation, you find it matured enough, and that you could also engage with artists as well. And Lord willing, we're going to be having another program next week. Maybe we might be bringing James Appleton next week, another artist, to also share with us, and we engage like this. But whatever is going to happen, we'll let you guys know. And again, if you want to reach out to us, yes, you can actually send us an email at info@seasonedapologist.com. If you want to reach out to us, that's the email right there. You can send us an email. And again, you can also find us on different social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and the rest of them. All right. So again, because we've gone out of time. This is 16 minutes after 8 right here.
Oh no, what happened to him? What happened? Corey, where did you go?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. My internet was messy. I'm so thankful that this happened when the whole program. So again, if you want to find us, yes, please kindly send us an email, info@seasonedapologist.com. And if you want to find us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok and all that, yes, you can actually see the social media handles right there on the screen. And if you want to support us also, please, yes, you can actually do that. You can support us. We'll welcome your support as well. Again, it's been a wonderful time, okay, with the conversation that we have tonight with the Afro artist. Next week, Lord willing, we're going to be coming your way, and I believe it's going to be another beautiful time. So again, thank you very much. God bless you. My name remains Corey, and I want to say to you, bye for now.
We love you, Lord, we love you. Father, we give you all the glory. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my